Start. I appreciate everyone being here this evening. Thank you for coming to the City Council meeting for August 28th. I appreciate it. We will have an opportunity for everyone to have all of their concerns here later in the meeting, and we'll just work through this meeting as best as we possibly can. We're going to start tonight with our invocation brought by Pastor Flanoy, and then we'll move right on into our presentations, which will be an update on the water treatment plant, followed by the citizens' concerns. Sir, and after the invocation, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Eternal God, we're so thankful for what you've done for us on this day. We thank you for putting us on the wake-up list. We love you. We thank you for your Son, Jesus Christ, and his finished work on the cross. Now we ask that you bless this meeting, our mayor, our city council, our fire department, our first responders, every suggestion, every idea, every plan that we run through Jesus Christ and get your approval. We ask that it satisfies and best for the citizens of Bonner Springs. And when we left here, let us arrive home safely and find everything that we left just as we left it. And Lord, teach us to love one another as you have loved us. We ask these blessings in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Erbert. Water treatment plant.
Good evening, Frank Abart, Public Works Director. We have some representatives from Burns & McDonnell and CAS, the constructors, for the little update. They have a PowerPoint presentation, and I guess they have a video that you've already seen, most of you anyway. It's about a 1-minute long video. And then after that, Matt Beets and I would take a few more minutes to talk about an equipment storage building on that particular site. So with that, right behind me, it's all yours. Thanks, Frank.
All right, so I'm Dana Weir with Burns McDonnell, the project manager, and Jeff.
I'm Jeff Pearsall with CAS Constructor, the project manager for the construction side.
Welcome.
Can you make sure you speak into the microphone?
Sure. Oh, there we go.
So we'll just give you a brief update. So we mobilized to the site end of February, early March, and really got started on construction this year. If you want to scroll in. So for those that don't recall, the project scope for this, we're building a 2 million gallon a day water treatment facility that consists of green sand filtration, followed by nanofiltration to provide softened water for the city. It is expandable to 3 million gallons a day just by adding additional treatment or additional filter equipment. The building itself is already designed for that 3 MGD expansion. It also includes a 500,000 gallon clear well on the site, a new 500 gallon a minute well, and then there's also a booster pump station to service the Lake of the Forest area and an additional 3,700 linear feet of 12-inch water main.
Next slide, please.
Yeah, so as I said, we mobilized to the site in March of this year. We already actually completed the construction of the clear well in August. The well construction itself, kind of the below grade completion of the well, was complete in July of this year. And we're hoping to have that well actually online and in production by December. We're just waiting on pumps and electrical gear to get that finished out. And pretty soon, the site's going to start looking a lot different because all the work we've been doing to date really is at grade and below, but we're going to start actually erecting the building here in the next month. So you'll get to start seeing some fun stuff go up. And then this fall, probably September, October timeframe, the Lake of the Forest water main work will commence. All leading up to a planned startup for August of 2024.
Okay, next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, here we got a few slides of just the construction up to date. And as Dana mentioned, the clear well that you see on the screen now that'll hold potable water when we're done is erected. It's done. But this shows the sequencing of that. Wall panels are all poured out on site and then lifted into place. And next slide, please. And then you'll see they start wrapping wire around the clear well. You can see in the left-hand picture the what they call the train up on top that winds the wire around the tank. And then it's all pre-stressed wire. It's very high tensile. And then they put shotcrete over the top of that. Next slide. This is the main process building and the admin building. The administrative portion of it's going to be at the top of the picture here, and the main process area is kind of toward the lower side of the picture. And as Dana mentioned, most of this work that we've been doing since March has been below grade. But what you can see here is mainly footings and foundations for the new building. Next slide. Here's some more undergrade work, under slab work. Just lots of big process piping there that you see in the center. Lots of electrical conduit that crisscross this thing. I think there's 7,000 feet of conduit in this building underneath the slab, so it's quite a bit. And then this is just some of the foundation work on the other side. Next slide, please. As you can see in the middle photo, the slab rebar is starting to go in, and we're planning on pouring the slab, the first two big major slab pours of roughly 250 cubic yards of concrete this Thursday. Next slide. And after it's all done, this is the architectural rendering of what it's going to look like. It's going to be a good-looking plant. That's kind of where we've been to update you all on where we're headed this fall. Dana kind of hit on it a little bit. We'll get this slab poured here in the next couple of weeks, and then the metal building will start in earnest, and that's going to take a couple months just to get it erected. And then once it's erected, we'll start putting in process equipment and more of the treatment equipment and the chemical feed equipment and different things like that. At the same time, well number 7, we'll be getting it finished up. We're shooting. Keep our fingers crossed. We're hoping to get that well up by the end of the year. And then Lake of the Forest pipeline will be going. I think we got a video.
That's the end of the.
Just a drone flight overhead.
I think this was taken about a month ago.
Yeah.
Month, 6 weeks maybe.
Mm-hmm. They did have it.
They did. It's all right. Yeah, so you see all that foundation work. Those are 30 inches thick and 3 feet deep.
Great
Foundation, green beams around the whole building. So it's beefy.
Yep. There you can see this guy winding wire around that clear well.
What does the wire do? What's the point of that?
It holds it all together, really. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Any questions?
It's surprising to see how close it is to the river, but apparently it makes little difference how close it is to the river being all well fed, correct?
Right.
Yeah, so the elevation of that site is still above the 500-year floodplain. So even though, yes, it is close to the riverbank itself is tall enough and high enough that we're out of the floodplain.
Yep.
Very protected. Yeah, anyone else have any questions?
How you guys doing on time? You feel like you're on target?
Yeah, I think so. The schedule's running right where it's supposed to be at this point in time. I was really, and
Don't hold up on supplies.
we're not yet. I mean, but
Knock on wood.
knock on wood. I got a little jump on actual construction starting in the field. You allowed us to get started with procurement early, and that helped a lot. And right now, I feel pretty good. The big process equipment's not here yet, so I'm not going to brag too much until.
I remember seeing that schedule, so I'm encouraged with that.
Yep.
Our last plant is on its last leg, and we've got about 50 years of service out of that. What do you expect a plant like this, service-wise, lifetime?
So the equipment itself with proper maintenance and rebuilds, really you can see last 40, 50 years. You know, media replacement will have to happen. You know, usually you get about 20 years of life out of your filter media. The membrane elements are usually about a 7-year replacement, but the physical structure of everything has a pretty good lifespan on it, just replacing smaller components.
Very good.
So with the water softening system, when it goes into place, is it going to be comparable to what most of us already have in our homes? And is that something that's going to be a replacement for the most part?
So the water quality that the goal to match was what Water One serves. It's about 150 milligrams per liter of hardness is the unit that we use as the metric. I honestly don't know what a domestic home softening system can do. A lot of times it's how frequently are you replacing the salt and what's coming in. So I'm not sure what you would have at the tap if you just had a softening system there.
Well, they regenerate, I think, daily. Right? You get longer life out of your fixtures and stuff. I think that was kind of the plan to do this, right?
Yeah, no, 150 milligrams per liter is pretty well the standard if you are providing a softened water to a utility, So it's pretty good quality.
It's good.
For the water softening, you use a different composition, right? Different materials for the softening process?
Yes, it is not the same technology that you would have at home. This is, the nanofiltration is the softening process that we have here. So that is a physical removal versus
Any of our homeowners that have a concern with sodium, that's not going to be an issue for them.
correct.
Any other questions? Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could you put that PowerPoint back up, that last page that showed the building?
One thing to note too, our current water hardness is over 400.
Over 400.
Oh,
Just
so
to
we're
give
going
you some
from
comparison.
400 to
down to 150.
150.
BPU runs around 330.
Into the microphone?
Yeah, say that loudly.
I said our current water hardness is over 400, and this will take us down to 150. And as a comparison, like BPU, they're around 330 or so. So if that helps with any of the numbers on ideas.
I asked her to put that slide up because you can see the main building, and then right behind it is what was planned to be an equipment storage building. And just to give you some kind of an idea as to what the site is, and that it was part of this project in our original planning. And in the early stages, we kind of had to remove that because of some funding issues. And then we got the $2.5 million grant, which we were working on, and we achieved that, and we thought we were going to be back in the game. However, as we started reevaluating some of these costs, and I'll let Matt elaborate, but essentially, we feel like we should pursue this on our own versus going through our friends with CAS and Burns and Mac because of the requirements and everything that are going to be so costly on the building. And essentially, it's roughly $1 million difference if you go through the federal and state funding requirements and all of that. And we would like to pursue, we haven't figured it out yet, but we'd like to pursue a different funding option, local funding option to figure out how to do this. We still need it, we still have to put the equipment someplace, and we have quite a bit of money wrapped up in inventory. You don't really want it sitting outside if you can help it. But we think we can do this better and less expensive, so.
So if we don't go through federal fund or state funding,
Pardon me?
if we don't use state or federal funding, we don't have to meet the same requirements?
That's correct. We would be using local funding, and, you know, the
What
price
kind
difference is roughly $1.5 million doing it ourselves.
What kinds
Or
of requirements
2.5.
would we choose to not include?
Oh, there's all kinds of American steel requirements and a whole variety of prevailing wage and things like that, that we wouldn't have to come into compliance with. We could hire a Morton Building or somebody like that to come in and build it. And I should let you speak.
You're right.
It's a lot of zeros, and we think, you know, there's got to be a better way. So we're going to try to find that better way. So tonight, we were just kind of introducing that to you so that you knew we still want and need the building, but we're going to try to pursue a different path here a little bit. And any comment on your part? I sort of stole the show, I guess.
Really.
And
A lot of the equipment that we're talking about storing in this, like we have in the wintertime, we have a couple of pieces of equipment that has to have water stored in it. So you can't keep that outside. You have to store that inside. Well, during the winter, when we're fighting snow, our current shop is full of truck plows and sanders on them. And there's really, it's a big shuffle of what goes outside. A lot of our stuff's diesel, so you got to keep it plugged in if it's outside. Got a lot of shuffling going on with that, just to be able to operate on our general day-to-day basis. So this equipment that has water in it that we use even in the wintertime, because it's hydro excavating equipment and
if you
feeds
had to
out
flush a sewer or something,
sewer lines,
you got to have
whatnot.
this equipment.
Right, so you got to keep it in above freezing. So this is kind of one of the reasons why this building is pretty important to us, is we need to get this type of equipment inside during the winter. And then, like you said, just to help protect our a lot of our vehicles and our equipment that we keep spending money on. So.
Yeah. At this point, there's times when we have our snow plows and snow removal and ice removal equipment has to be outside. And so there's sometimes starting issues, there's, you know, cleaning them off, getting them prepared to use. Well, that's an hour that you could have been out addressing the roads or more, depending on how much ice you got. So,
How large of a
Anyway.
building is this?
We started off, we looked at our current public works shop space, and where we park our vehicles at now is about roughly 80 by 80. When we kind of worked from that dimension, and we added like another 20 feet to one end of it with like an covered overhead parking space to
go ahead and put his pictures.
store like our plumbing, a lot of our piping and our hydrants and our fixtures, that getting them out of the weather, kind of trying to help protect them so that they're in better shape if we ever come in to need them. We met with a guy from a local building manufacturer and actually did a field trip up to see a building that they were constructing. And we grew a little bit after that field trip because we said, oh, you know, we hadn't thought about this. This would be a nice addition. And our building's now roughly 140 by 80.
Well, there's 15 feet overhang, that's actually not part of the actual building, but
Yeah, on the
outside
on
storage.
the left side of the picture there, that's a covered overhead space. That's again for like long pieces of our piping, our hydrants, and you know, just that stuff to keep it out of the weather. So it's, when we take it out into the field, it's in good condition to put it back in the ground. And then these are just a couple little renderings that we kind of quickly put together for this. This would be, the front of the building is there on the left-hand side. They have like a little covered porch over the top of it, just so that when you walk up. The parking lot and the access to this building for most of the staff would be underneath that overhang there on the left. They'd come just basically into the building from that side. There'd be fencing running from both front corners to eliminate any security from the back side of the building.
So that's a metal insulated building?
Yes, sir. And then the next picture is kind of looking at it from the southeast corner, looking like west. And you'll see like the covered spot on the left there, that's the overhang for the store pipes and hydrants in. And then you'd have your doors for, just to get inside to store the equipment, vehicles. And there'll be some windows, those are kind of just roughly dropped in there. That's just to help with natural light to get it in the building, so.
You'll have room to facilitate extra equipment later on,
Yeah, we should,
hopefully.
we should, yeah. And then there's in the front part of the building, there's a little area for them to do, like, for workbenches, stuff for them to work on when they're inside. And a mezzanine up top to store additional fittings and whatnot, so.
Meters, water meters, things like that. That was it. We just wanted to take the opportunity to expose you to it, and, you know, if anybody had any concerns or issues, we'd love to hear about it. Like I said, we don't have a plan in place yet, but we think there's enough zeros involved that I think we can figure something
Well,
out here.
working through that project and having the space and the need for it, having an option of putting in a Morgan-type building, I think that's going to serve us quite well in the future at quite a savings. So please bring those plans back. Other questions, concerns? Seeing none? Anything else, gentlemen?
That's it.
Thank you
Thank you
very
so much.
Very good. Now we'll move on into the city council portion of the meeting. And first I'd like to ask if anyone would like to stand and address the city council about items not on tonight's agenda. It appears to be quite a few members of the public here this evening, and I'm glad that you're all here. This may be a record for me, so I appreciate you coming. We will have an opportunity later in the new business portion to talk about the public hearing regarding the levy for a property tax rate exceeding the revenue neutral rate. And that would be the time to discuss budget issues. So we'll have an opportunity to discuss those type of things at the first item of new business, which will follow the consent agenda. Is there anyone here in the audience that would like to stand and address the city council about other items not on tonight's agenda? Please. If you wouldn't mind stating your name and address.
Mayor, city council members, my name is Michael Kelling. I live in Lenexa, but I work in Bonner Springs.
And your address, sir?
14012 West 89th Street.
Thank you.
We are here tonight on behalf of the city employees, our families, friends, citizens, and business owners. It's not easy standing here before you tonight because we have been led to believe that coming to you would result in termination. Chief Knapp has said that Mr. Peterson told him that he would be terminated if he went to the city council. Therefore, you can imagine how we, as ordinary officers, are even more fearful. Even with that being communicated to us, we feel that the lack of attention and care given to the pay issue is so detrimental to its employees, the citizens, and business owners, we put this issue ahead of our own fears. Earlier this week, or last week, a letter was signed by all but one police department employee, both civilian and sworn, and was sent to you all, and we wanted to make sure that you have received a copy of this letter. If you have not received a copy of this letter, we have extra here tonight, and we can provide that to you. At this time, we are also providing a copy of this letter to the city clerk so it can be part of the minutes of the city council meeting. Bonner Springs Police Department starting pay is one of the lowest compared to all Kansas-side metro agencies. Because of this, we struggle to recruit and retain officers, leaving us short-staffed many times and having to completely eliminate our patrol support unit, which perform many community service projects. We have all felt the pressure and the increased inflation and rising cost has strained everyone's budgets. Due to the lack of a significant increase in the police pay scale or cost of living increases until this year, we have lost 3 officers to the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department, 2 officers to the Spring Hill Police Department, 1 officer to the Shawnee Police Department, and 1 officer to the Leavenworth County Sheriff's Department. We currently have 1 officer in the final stage of the hiring process with the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department, and he is our only trained school resource officer with the Bonner Springs, and he's also a Bonner Springs resident. We have another officer in the final stage of the hiring process for an agency out of state. These are employees the city has invested time, money, to hire, equip, and train. All these officers noted above were known, loved, and trusted by citizens and business owners. During the past several years, we've had more officers leave the department than we've been able to hire. Officers have left to go to another agency to be paid a competitive wage that combats the rising cost of inflation. During the course of the last 3 years, metro agencies have major increases to keep up with the living increases to coincide with their performance pay increases. In 2021, Bonner Springs employees did not receive a raise due to the impact of COVID. In 2022, Bonner Springs employees received earned a 3% performance raise. And this year, 2023, Bonner Springs employees received a 3% cost of living increase at the first of the year, and they have earned a 3% performance increase. Recently, we researched the internet to see what the starting rates for the Leavenworth County Sheriff's Department, Leavenworth Police, Lansing Police, Basler Police, Roland Park Police, Spring Hill Police, Mission Police, Marion Police, Edwardsville Police, and Bonner Springs Police. Out of all these agencies, only 2 advertised their starting pay rate lower than Bonner Springs. They were the Leavenworth County Sheriff's Department and the Spring Hill Police Department. Both of these agencies' starting pay is slightly less than Bonner Springs, but they only work 2,080 hours a year to obtain their salary, whereas Bonner Springs officers work 2,184 hours a year. We are scheduled to work 104 more hours a year, more than Spring Hill and Leavenworth, and only make $389 more. Also, we are scheduled to work 104 more hours a year than most of the other agencies we mentioned, and we still make less than them. The research is based on the base pay for the new hire, and it does not reflect the competition between the agencies for lateral entry pay, nor does it reflect the discrepancy at the sergeant, captain, and major ranks. We encourage you all to do your own internet search and not just take our word for it or anyone else's word that's trying to influence this. 5 years ago, the city completed a pay study and changes were made. We sat in a city council meeting when the council approved the corrective actions to make us more competitive at that time. Mayor Harrington, you commented in the meeting about Bonner Springs being behind, and that was refreshing for us to finally be out front. 5 years later, we find ourselves significantly behind once again. Since that last pay study 5 years ago, we have only received one 3% cost of living increase, which was at the first of this year. Additionally, the captain rank was all but forgotten on the new police pay scale, and when placed back in later, was moved down instead of being put back to where it was supposed to be based on the pay study and the historic pay scales. We asked the council to research, study, and observe the pay discrepancies compared to the other metro agencies and make the necessary changes to the Bonner Springs pay scale so that we can have a fighting chance to make our recruitment and retention efforts competitive. We are desperately in need of more officers to be able to provide the safe community Bonner Springs citizens, business owners, and officers need, expect, and deserve. Thank you for your time, and we are available for questions.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else who would like to, other than, no need to reiterate the entire thing, but stand up and address the same issue? Anyone else? Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.
Good evening.
Yes.
Thanks for this opportunity. My name is Ray Garza. I represent the Holiday Inn Express on K7 and I-70. Earlier this year, I had the privilege to be up here to receive the Distinguished Citizen Award by Bonner Springs, given to me by the police department. The police department last year was at my hotel many times. It was a rough year. Crime was way up. Don't have an answer for what happened or why it was, because it didn't fit the stereotype of rates go down, crime goes up, rates go up, crime goes out. That didn't work. I can tell you this, the police department was helped out tremendously in getting rid of this crime. This year, I've hardly had anything. I can probably attribute it to the police department being there. Great department. I'm indebted to them. I've seen no other police department like this. They work together. The camaraderie is just incredible. They help each other. The times that I saw them come in, they were methodical. They looked at the situation, they planned out what they were going to do, and they took care of the situation. Awesome. Police departments right now around the country are under fire. They're trying to be defunded. Their morale is down. Crime is way up. Look at Portland, Oregon, San Francisco. We don't want to be like that. When I heard things like this about our police department, I started asking questions. It's like, hey, where's so-and-so? Oh, they left. Hey, well, where's so-and-so? They left. Where's so-and-so? They also left. Why are they leaving? So I asked a few questions like that. Well, pay is not what we can afford. Right now, with inflation the way it is, with the prices way up, it's the cost of living is very, very high. And it affects everyday people like the police department, citizens, everybody. We're all in this. But is it fair, from what I've heard, that the police department is not receiving any type of raises? If they are, it's very minimal. We're looking at 3%. Who controls the money here in Bonner Springs? Is it you, Sean? What's the problem, Sean? Why aren't these people getting raises?
I'm going to ask that all the addresses be
Okay,
made to the
I don't
city
expect
council.
an answer.
Because we're going to
Yeah.
take all this information and we'll address the entire topic. Yes.
Yeah, I don't expect answers on that, but I'm just, just kind of curious
Thank you.
what's going on as a citizen and, representing the hotel there. Concerns, I mean, even our former President Trump was huge with law enforcement. Huge. They loved him. They still love him. And he's running his platform based on law enforcement. He has a basic common sense approach on this. Number one, give the police departments the resources they need to do their job, whether it's money, raises for morale, equipment, things like that. Pretty simple. Number two, support law enforcement. Support what they do. Without them, we'd be lawlessness city type of deal. And you've seen what's going around in America. There's a lot of that going on. We don't want that here in a small town. Three, lastly, is to stand back and let them do their job. Let them do their job. These are three principles that are really, really common sense, simple approach. We need to fund our police department. They need to be able to provide for their families. Every day, they put on their uniform, put on their badge, and go risk their life for us. That's a big thing. That's huge. I saw it for myself last year. I was under fire a lot, and they were there to protect me. I owe them a lot. I really do. And like I said, it's amazing to see them in action. Here, you call 911, they answer like that. The police are back, they're there immediately. Cross on over to Kansas City, Missouri. They don't even answer 911. And when they do, it's a 45-minute wait time. It's crazy. We don't have that here. We need to show respect for our police department and thank them for what they're doing. And thank them by making sure that they have exactly what I said, the resources, the money. It's kind of sad to see, really, because these men and women bust their ass every day. I see it. I'm part of it. They've helped me. And with the things that are going on in America right now, don't want to be political. You know what's going on. Moral value is going down. Religious value is going down. We should be happy in our little small town here that we have people protecting us. First line of defense. Second line of defense is going to be all of us uniting as one and taking care of the issues also. There's a song out right now, controversial song, but it's the words that needed to be said by Jason Aldean. I'm going to read some of these words to you. Cuss out a cop, spit in his face, stomp on the flag, and light it up. Yeah, you think you're tough. Well, try that in a small town. Our first line of defense is this police department. We will not tolerate behavior like this. We're a small town. We should be proud. Old-fashioned values. Fund the police. Take care of them. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ma'am?
I'm Melva Jarrett with Christ First Ministries, also Jerry Lee Jarrett Life Center. I'm here because, as it was said earlier, in the last 4 years, I look for faces, Adam and John, and I'm trying to figure where they're at. For 4 years, we received the Community Service Award also. For 4 years, they're in the middle of the word community is unity. They're people that put on uniforms. Their uniforms don't make them. They make that uniform work. And they came and they carried us in the middle of the summer when food came in and we didn't even have enough volunteers to help us. They came with their jackets on and their guns. They didn't take them off. And if they got a call, they left. We can change things. We have the power. You have the power. Maybe you were born for such a time as this. Change things. They were your sons and your daughters, you would change it. Change it. Help them. Stay with us and let us stay a community that has unity. Because if we're not, and if we don't, we're going to lose everything.
Thank you.
That was my mother. She said I could come with her, and then I wasn't going to come, but I'm going to come anyway. I'm Aaliyah Jarrett with the Bonner Springs NAACP. Blue lives do matter. They matter. If we don't say anything else, we say that they matter, okay?
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Brendan Hedrick. Some of you may know me. I was a police officer here in the city of Bonner Springs from 2017 until 2022, this past December.
Your address, sir?
12490 Provera Road. So when Sergeant Kelling was up here, he talked about the officers that had left previously. I'm one of those officers. And I'm going to tell you exactly why I left. I couldn't afford to live. That's exactly why. I left for money. I did the one thing that I told myself I would never do. Because the officers back here are not only my friends, but they're my family. If I had the opportunity, I would leave my current department right now and come straight back here if I could afford to live. I couldn't do it. The price of rent and everything is so expensive. I would get paid as a corporal. I was a 5-year officer. I was a corporal. I was a night shift supervisor. I was also an instructor in several things in this department. I wore many hats. After I would get paid, I would pay my rent, I would pay my small car payment, and I'd have about $150 to $200 to last me for 2 weeks. How am I supposed to buy groceries? Can you answer that? No, you can't. You don't understand. Everything that these guys got to go through on a daily and a nightly basis to get paid the way they do is embarrassing. It is embarrassing. I work for another agency now to where I do probably a quarter of the work that I had to put in here, and I get paid twice as much. These officers here, if they get a felony case, they work from start to finish, everything. They collect the evidence, they do the interviews, they write the narratives, they write the affidavits, they do the charging. They do everything, and they get paid nothing. It's terrible. I would love to come back and work for the city because I love this city. I love the city, I love the community, I love the people. But I can't afford it. I want it to get fixed. Not just so maybe someday I can hopefully come back and work for this city, but for these people behind me, because they deserve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, and thank you for your service. Is there anyone else that would like to stand and address the city council? Please, about any other issues that might be on your mind. I want you to know there is a process. We are working our way through it. With this information and the information that we have, we're going to review this. I've asked the city council is asking the city manager to meet with all of the stakeholders and come up with a plan. This was referenced a 3% increase. Actually, the last year we gave a 6% increase and have planned to increase the pay again this year 6%. So although that's not 3%, it's not near what everyone would like, it is a plan that we have in place and that we're working towards improving things as best we can. That may not be near enough for some of you to hear, and it may be more than what some of our fixed income individuals can accommodate also in our community. So we're trying to address these concerns as best as we possibly can, and we'll work our way through it. I appreciate everyone's input. Officers, there won't be any retribution for this tonight. I appreciate your coming to us. You're always welcome. You're also always welcome. There's an open door policy with all the administration here, from what I have experienced and what we've asked them to do. Those of you in the community, if you have concerns, please reach out to any of the council members or myself at any time. We'd be happy to talk with you or just listen to your concerns. So thank you very much, and this is a work in progress that we will be addressing. Thank you. We're going to move on now to the consent agenda. The consent agenda this evening includes the minutes from the August 14th City Council meeting, claims for city operation, a modification in the fire department staff vehicle purchase, public use request for the homecoming parade for city facilities, and a massage therapy license renewal for Tiana Shelley. Thank you very much. Anything to be pulled by the city staff? Citizens' concerns? Questions from the council? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. So moved by Mr. Reeves and seconded by Mr. Shannon. Vote, please.
Shannon?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
McMahon?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
Gurley?
Yes.
Kip?
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
Reeves?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. On no old business, so we'll move right along to new business, which is what I alluded to earlier, the public hearing to levy a property tax rate exceeding the revenue neutral rate. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At the July 10th, 2023 council meeting, the City Council approved a notification to the county clerks of the city's intent to exceed the revenue neutral rate and set a public hearing for today to hear comments on exceeding the revenue neutral rate. That has been noticed both in the Wyandotte County Echo as well as the city website. Currently, the revenue neutral rate would mean an additional exceeding the revenue neutral rate, for those that aren't aware, means that the city needs to, if it would like to receive $1 more in property taxes than it did in the prior year, this is the opportunity to take that action with our next step. But today, right now is the public hearing.
Very good, thank you. Is there any citizens that wish to comment?
We need to open the public hearing.
I'm sorry. It is a public hearing item, and I'd need to make a motion to open. I'd like to ask for a motion to open the public hearing to exceed the revenue neutral rate.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to open public hearing to exceed the revenue neutral rate beginning at 8:15. Second.
So moved by Mr. Stevens and seconded by Mr. Reeves. Vote, please.
Public hearing.
Oh, we just opened it. We got a vote to open the public hearing.
Reeves?
Here, yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
Kip?
Yes.
Gurley?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
McMahon?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
All right, now, would anyone like to stand and address the city council about the revenue neutral rate, exceeding the revenue neutral rate? Very good. I appreciate that. I know that's, it is a very confusing item, but like Sean alluded to earlier, the revenue neutral rate is the amount that the mill rate provided the city with last year's valuation, the amount that your property tax attributed to the city. And we are exceeding that amount. However, it's with the increase in the development and our assessed values, we aren't going to need that, it appears as though, that much millage. So we will be exceeding the revenue neutral rate because, as everyone has indicated, inflation has caused costs to go up, and that's what we're trying to accommodate. So no questions from the public. Is there any questions, concerns, comments from the council? Starting down here with Mr. Shannon.
None here.
Very good. Then I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Mr. Mayor, I move to close the public hearing at 8:16.
Very good. Moved by Mrs. Gurley, seconded by Mr. Stevens. Vote, please.
Long?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
Kip?
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
Reeves?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
McMahon?
Yes.
Gurley?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very good. And with the usual confusing way that city government has to go, now we will entertain a resolution to levy a property tax rate exceeding the revenue neutral rate. Since we've just had the public hearing, now we have to make the resolution. I'd entertain a motion. Or I'm sorry, anyone would like to question or have any questions, concerns about this resolution? Same thing we just went over. Any staff? Nope. I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to adopt a resolution to levy a property tax rate exceeding the revenue neutral rate.
Second.
So moved by Mr. Shannon, seconded by Mr. Stevens. Questions, concerns, comments, and we'll start down here, Mr. Reeves.
Nothing here.
Sir.
Well, I think it's very important that we pointed out that, that this is not setting what the rate is going to actually be at this point in time. It's just a do not exceed rate, and that based upon the budget and some of the comments we've had this evening, that may vary, but right now I think we are looking at a reduction of mill levies based upon the current numbers, correct? That we've been presented up to this point in time.
Correct. The resolution in front of you reduces the mill levy by approximately 2 mills.
Okay. That's it.
I've definitely heard from several constituents about, inflation as we've all felt it. Personal debt is skyrocketing and savings are plummeting. So with a lot of the new property taxes hitting right now, I would like to see a substantial, discount in the mill levy. I think our budgets have been full due to great staff leadership and trying to give a little bit of that back a little bit more. I know we've had some numbers out there, but I'm kind of torn because I don't want to limit ourselves on what we do for items that come up, but I also want to be mindful of what's ahead for everyone, so that's all I have.
I agree with you, and I also think it's important to know things like the development that we're seeing in town. The best example that rings with me is if we had not voted to exceed revenue neutral last year, we would have missed out on the tax from the development of the Old Dominion truck terminal. And remind me of that number, please.
The city portion, I believe, is in the neighborhood of 250,000, which is roughly equivalent to the 2 mill reduction.
Which they would have still had to pay, but we would not have received it.
Correct.
So that's kind of the balancing act that I play in my mind, is that we are seeing development. They're going to pay those taxes. I'd like to have them because it helps our community.
I agree.
Sir?
Nothing here.
Nothing Anything else? No other questions, concerns, comments? Motion or a vote, please?
Voting on a motion to adopt a resolution to levy a property tax rate exceeding the revenue neutral rate. McMahon?
Yes.
Gurley?
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
Kip?
No.
Reeves?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving on to agenda item number 3, considering a notice of public hearing and scheduling public hearing for the proposed 2023 budget amendments. Staff, do you have any?
Only to make mention of, this is simply setting the hearing for the budget amendments that have been reviewed in 2023. This includes additional funds for the 138th Street project out of the CIP Sales Tax Fund, additional signage from the Tourism Fund, the water replacement project and the water plant project out of the Water Fund, additional funding out of the recreation program related to grant funding and the use of the grant funds this year, the Special Parks and Recreation Fund, which included the new fitness court, as well as design of a trail system along Spring Creek, the Street Projects Fund, which is CCLIP funding design, as well as the sci-fi funding that the city received from the county. And then lastly, the Emergency Service Capital Fund, which includes the lease purchase of an aerial truck, as well as the purchase of tasers for the police department.
Very good. Questions from the public concerning approving a notice of public hearing for the schedule of the proposed 23 budget amendments? Seeing none. Please stand and state your name and address.
My name is Mark Peterson. I'm at 526 Brent Drive here in Bonner. And what I heard a while ago was that we'll explore local options for funding a building. And I'm telling you folks, there's federal money out there. We should be pursuing it because it's been allocated. And if we don't spend it, someone else does. We're not saving the federal government any money. So I'm going to borrow a line from Cool Hand Luke, and that is, hey, there's federal money out there, so let's dip our bread into some of that federal money while it's still hot.
Thank you, sir. I know this is an issue that our city staff and the consultant that has been helping us with this project has recommended because of the federal guidelines that have to be met for this specific building, and that concerns raise the cost to us over what it would be for us to build our own. So I appreciate that. We do look for all the grants we can find, federal grants, to assist with anything, and have received quite a bit of money for the water treatment plant already. So thank you very much. But moving along, seeing no other, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, excuse me, I'll make a motion to approve the public hearing notice and schedule a public hearing for the 2023 budget amendment for Monday, September 11th, 2023.
I'll second.
So moved by Mr. Shannon, seconded by Mrs. Gurley. Really no discussion. Any questions or concerns from the council? Seeing none, vote please.
Kip?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
McMahon?
Yes.
Gurley?
Yes.
Reeves?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And on to item number 4, another housekeeping issue, more or less, is the approval of the 24 budget. The first was the amendments to the 23 budget, and this will be the adoption of the 24 budget that we've alluded to this evening. So I ask for a staff presentation or any introduction.
Nothing additional. This is, as you said, a step to publish the meeting notice.
Publishing the meeting notice. Any questions concerning the public meeting notice? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the public hearing notice and schedule a public hearing for the 2024 budget on Monday, September 11th, 2023.
Second.
So moved by Mr. Stevens and seconded by Mr. Reeves. Questions or concerns concerning scheduling it?
I do have.
Please.
Well, I know we have a lot of public here. I don't know if they were here to support the police or if they wanted to talk about the budget. I think it's important that all the materials we've presented, I know they can dig through the packets. Is there a way we can put it on the website, all the budget information, and then in the city newsletter we send out, have a link so that people can get to that information. They can see what's actually in the budget before we have that meeting. If we could do that, that would be great. And then if you are concerned about the budget, either wanting to, don't like it, you'd like to see it less, or if you're fine with it or want to see it a little higher, please come again on that September 11th meeting and speak to us, please.
Thank you. Sure. Sure. Nothing? Seeing no other questions or concerns, vote please.
Long? Yes. Kip?
Yes.
Gurley? Yes. Shannon?
Yes.
Wood? Yes. Reeves?
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
McMahon?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very good. Thank you very much, and this moves us on to our reports. This evening's first reports from the city manager.
The only thing I'd like to mention is just thank you, everybody that attended, as well as city staff that participated, and the volunteers especially that worked towards a successful Tiblo Days. Ms. Blanks is here as well from the chamber. That's also a big part of that is the folks that are on the chamber board and the volunteers that make that a successful event. So beyond that, that is all I have this evening.
Very good. City council items. We'll start down here with Mr. Reeves. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, it's on Spring Creek. The city staff has been through there and worked on that this summer, and it helped a lot. Right now, it looks like some of the weeds are coming back with a vengeance, so it probably needs a little more attention. Other than that, glad to be here.
Thank you. Sir.
I'd like to just reiterate what our city manager, Mr. Peterson, said, and that Tiblo this weekend was I think, very much of a success, and it really was due to all the volunteers we have. I know we've heard for years about how Bonner Springs is a volunteer city, and I think an event like this shows it. There was a lot of people put in a lot of long hours to make this happen, so I want to thank all of them. That's it.
Yeah, I'll focus a little on the police right now. I had some people come in for Tiblo Days, and they just had a wonderful time, and they actually commented on, of course, these ongoing issues. I hope we resolve to everyone's benefit, but thank you all for everything you do. Tiblo Days was wonderful, and that's to all the staff and everyone else that put in very hard work, but I had comments from people outside of town, how much they liked that small town, the parade and everything. They just had a ball, so thank you all.
I just wanted to follow up on the wayfinding sign on Morris at Nettleton. We were checking the sight lines on that wayfinder sign. Yeah. Did anything need to change? I didn't think there was anything that did. Okay. I'll follow back up with Public Works, but it was okay. Okay. Thank you.
I thought Tiblo was wonderful. Tiblo Days was wonderful, and the police were so cheerful with everything that was going on around the whole thing. So thank you very much.
Might as well jump in. I think we had a fantastic, the Chamber of Commerce, thank you and everyone else involved for doing such an outstanding job. We, my whole family, we had a great time. I know it started off hot, right on Thursday, and then a little bit on Friday, but Saturday, I mean, downtown was packed. And our first responders were absolutely fantastic. Wherever you looked, you saw somebody. So you guys had it covered extremely well. And thank you for doing that. And I just think overall it was a success. Go Bonner.
I'll reiterate that, and also just want to thank Megan Gilliland as well, because these things don't happen by accident. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes work, and she is so amazing. She juggles so much and still managed to pull off this amazing event, so kudos to her. I would also like to echo the mayor's comments from earlier that if there's anybody who is a citizen of Bonner Springs or who works for Bonner Springs, you're always welcome and invited, encouraged, and empowered to come talk to any single one of us when you have a concern that's not being addressed. That's number one. Number two, I wholeheartedly support our police department. The rare occasion when I've had to call the police, a familiar face shows up. I don't want that to change. You know, the one time I did have to call the police, it was Jeff Wiseman who showed up. I know him. I trust him. I feel safe. I want him to feel like he's supported by our community as well.
Wow. You all said everything. Excuse me. And I know sometimes compliments are kind of sometimes far and few between, but when Jan and I left Saturday evening and we were walking out, an individual walked over to me specifically and he said, "I just want to tell you thank you." And I said, "For what?" And he said, "Our department, the people around here, everything is going excellent." He said, "This is one of the best ones I have ever seen." So again, you know, to our police department, fire, ambulance, everybody, to all the workers. Megan, I've heard nothing but brave. Pardon me? Okay, Parks and Rec twice. There you know, it's serious. It's just been great, and I think sometimes it's very difficult on all of us because we don't know necessarily what other people are thinking, but you're all present here shows that you care and that you want to know, and we want to know. But if nobody calls us or nobody says anything, it really makes it hard. And then, of course, the old rumor mill, that doesn't help a bit. So, again, I think as you've seen this evening, that the council here is mayor and city manager and assistant city manager and Chris and everybody. We're here. You're our family. You know, we don't know what's going on unless you say something to us. I know people may think that, oh, well, we know what's going on and stuff. No, that's not the way it is. But again, from my family and our family here and everybody, thank you so much for being a part of our community and being concerned and wanting to make things right. And I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. That leads us to the mayor's report, and I can't reiterate it enough, so I'll also compliment everyone on Thibodaux Days, but not only those that have been complimented already, the chamber and Megan and the city staff, Sean and Chris and Amber, and Public Works. Those guys put in long, hot hours, and even when the weather changed, it was still pretty hot doing all the work they had to do. So the police department, the fire department, I had to interact with as well, and that wasn't as pleasant as what I had hoped, but their professionalism shined, and we got the problem corrected. It wasn't a big priority, but it meant a lot to a few people really quick. I've had an opportunity to receive a lot of compliments on Thibodaux Days, and someone mentioned the reason is the volunteers, and I think that's exactly it. The people in Bonner Springs volunteer more than people other places. The staff, the police, the fire, the public works, everyone, they all take a lot of pride in their job, and they do exactly the very best they can. I don't doubt that in the least. And I want all of the officers specifically to know we appreciate you and we hear you. We're not going to be able to make everybody happy. I'm going to shoot straight from the hip. Oh, wait, no. Can't say that to police officers. I'm going to tell you and not make light of it. We will do the best we can. Will it be everything? Nope. I can also tell the citizens, we are working our very hardest to keep the pressure down on your property taxes. We've heard that. We've been impacted by that too. So the level of funding is something that we're going to continue to work very hard at. As I made mention, we're going to involve all the stakeholders with personal meetings to get to the very best information that we can have and work our way through this. This is not a new problem. Yeah, we were at the top at one time. We don't happen to be. We may not make the top again, but we'll be able to improve what we have. I just can't make any promises right now. We're going to work our way through this budget and do the best we can and continue to do so. You've been heard. Hopefully we'll be able to work the plan, improve it as best we can, and move on from there. On a side note, it was very nice to have the mayor's banquet Thursday evening in the heat inside in the air conditioning in this beautiful room. Very proud and also very glad it was my last mayor's banquet. So I've learned only one thing over the last 10 years is keep the speeches shorter. I get more compliments the shorter the speech gets, so. Also, they said it was the funniest one I've ever had, and I didn't write one joke, so I don't know what that means. So, I appreciate everyone that went out of their way to help with that. Rotary Club helped sponsor the mayor's banquet, and it is greatly appreciated. This is all adds to this small town quality of life that we enjoy here in Bonner Springs. From our low crime to our parks and the new fitness park, to the improvements with the fire department and the new vehicle, to the water department. It takes a lot of hard water for us to be excited about a $29.2 million improvement, and it's happening. We're a year away from it. So I appreciate everyone. Thank you all for coming out this evening, and appreciate you being here, and we're working on improving everything as best we can. Thank you all very much.